Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about Terrifier 3. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. Okay, so Terrifier. It's the third movie in the series. It doesn't show the first movie because technically it wasn't like a wide release, like at all, but it came out in 2016. It's like an independent flick, a very small movie. Literally had a budget of $35,000. Like that is pocket change, and when it comes to like movies these days. But yeah, $35,000. It was about like this killer known as Art the Clown. That's his name, and the movie had like a Okay, well, it premiered in 2016, but had a limited theatrical release in March of 2018. And despite apparently having like mixed reviews, it became like a big cult hit. A lot of people, grew to like love this thing, and it spawned a sequel, which came out 2 years ago, Terrifier 2, which actually did get a wide release here. Now, it wasn't by like a big studio or anything, like nothing like that. It had like a weird run. We're starting like 800 theaters, and I was thinking, okay, I wasn't too sure about this run, so that's why I didn't make a video on it. I was just like, I don't know what's going on with this thing, so I just kind of not just didn't deal with it. But it managed to like throughout the month of October, it managed to gain momentum. Low key. I mean, look at this. It went up, and after like losing theaters too, which is really weird. But it ended up making over $10 million. I mean, for a movie that costs like $250,000, that's pretty great. So obviously, it wouldn't take much to make a profit, obviously. And Terrifier 2 is considered to be like a better movie than the first one. So obviously, you know what that means. You make another one. You make part three, and part three has the biggest budget of them all, $2 million. Which again, compared to like a lot of movies you see nowadays, is like pocket change. So yeah, you have a much bigger budget, and this movie has a much wider release because obviously Terrifier is starting to really build up a following more and more and more, starting to really grow. And I know it's gonna really grow even more with this movie. So yeah, the history of Terrifier being like this small little indie horror flick ballooning into this is obviously a pro. So the growth of these movies is kind of comparable to say John Wick, except on a much smaller scale. So um yeah. But yeah, Terrifier and like the franchise as a whole label that as a pro. Another pro for this movie is that reviews for it are pretty darn good. Last I checked, has a 77% critic score. Audience score is a 93%. So that's really good. Its cinema score is a B, which is actually above average for a horror movie, especially one like this where it has like some controversy surrounding it, particularly the opening scene that reportedly not only caused some people to walk out and were just straight disgusted, but apparently movies gotten banned in some places because of said gore and violence. And here's the thing: I've never seen the Terrifier movies, but from what I've heard, they can get real nasty in terms of content. So hearing this about Terrifier 3, I mean, look at this poster. I mean, having this as a first of all, I feel like this poster alone is going to get this video like age restricted. But so yeah, just hearing about this stuff about Terrifier 3, it doesn't really surprise me. So yeah, reviews for this and word of mouth is looking real good. So I'm gonna label that as a pro. Another pro is the fact that there's no serious competition this weekend. Okay, this weekend. I mean, the last horror movie that came out was, shoot, what was it? Was it The Substance? I guess Substance or Never Let Go. One of the two. Well, I guess it could be both. But The Substance came out like a couple weeks ago. Starting to become like a bit of like a cult hit right now. Never Let Go. That's never going to be a cult hit. That movie's pretty much forgotten already. um, yeah, it's been a little while since we've had a horror movie enter like the marketplace. Like well, this is even like a mainstream movie, but like a horror movie that's had like a wide release. It's been a while since we had one of those. So yeah, and just like the way this movie like looks and feels, it's very different from everything else. I mean, this weekend, I mean, there's a lot of movies, but none of them are the same compared to one another. They all have like different flavors, different styles, and that's at least there's a lot of variety. And as they say, variety is the spice of life. So you have like a very different movies opening, so that's kind of neat. But Terrifier 3, the way it is, the way it looks, it stands out amongst the crowd. So I'm gonna label that as a pro. Another pro is his Thursday previews hit like 2.6 million, which is really good. I mean, looking at Terrifier like 2, like that movie's like release. I mean, Terrifier 3 made more in one day in previews than Terrifier 2 made in like 2 weeks. So that's extremely impressive. So, and literally, its Thursday previews are bigger than any weekend Terrifier 2 ever had, which is a hell of an achievement. So, yeah. Thursday previews, I mean, compared to like other movies that have come out recently, I believe like Speak No Evil, which came out last month. That was like a mainstream flick from like a big distributor, Universal. That had a Thursday preview. Well, it doesn't even show the Thursday preview. I think it was like 1.567 million, one of those numbers. And this is, again, mainstream flick right here. It's the fact that you got Terrifier 3 doing better than a mainstream flick, that's really good. That's damn good. That tells you that this movie has some weight behind it. And this movie has some hype to it. Some real hype. So yeah, Thursday previews, I'm gonna label that as a big old pro. Um I guess have I labeled all the pros? Yeah, I think so. I will mention this. This isn't a pro or a con, but I think it's kind of weird. You have like a movie like Terrifier 3 that takes place during Christmas. You're opening in October, so kind of like a few months away from it technically being appropriate. Because I'm pretty sure this will be labeled as a Christmas movie. Because I mean, look at it. um, so yeah, releasing like a Christmas themed movie in October is real strange. Although, granted, if this came out in like November or December, people would be pissed off. People would be heated. They'd be like, "How can you release a movie so foul and so disgusting around Christmas time?" Like people would definitely complain about that. So it's probably for the best. It's coming out in October because it still works. Either like both October, like both Halloween and Christmas, they both work in this case of a movie like this. But I just wanted to mention that. It's not a pro or a con, just something I wanted to mention. Now, for actual cons, it's nothing too serious, but like horror this year has been real blah at the box office. We've only had like a couple of hits here and there, a couple of serious hits. The only like two serious hits we've had were Quiet Place Day 1 and Alien Romulus. And that's pretty much it. Everything else has been like real like mid level. I mean, Speak No Evil's done all right, but it's never really gotten any better after that. I mean, we had some flops, some straight up flops, like Afraid. Remember that? Of course you don't. No one does. So yeah, horror's had a rough year. So I'm gonna label that as a con. That's not a knock against Terrifier 3. That's just the truth of what's going on this year. But an actual con against Terrifier 3 is that I have this feeling that even with the positive word of mouth and everything, this movie is going to be very front loaded. It's going to be very fan fueled because, with this, starting like so small and then just ballooning to what it is now. Obviously, this movie is going to appeal to like diehard fans and people who will become diehard fans. So there's that danger element of like being like too fan fueled. That could lead to significant front loading. So I'm gonna label that as a con. Just the danger of being fan fueled. And that's really it. So, I forgot to mention direct competition next weekend. You got Smile 2, another horror movie, a more mainstream friendly horror movie, but it's still a horror movie. So, having two horror movies like back to back usually isn't a great idea because you tend to like split the audience that way. Um, Same thing happened like last month with like Transformers 1 and Wild Robot, two animated robot movies coming out back to back. Not smart. And as a result, Transformers 1 suffered greatly, which sucks because that movie was really good. But that's just how it is. So yeah, Smile 2 is going to be a problem. But if this can survive Smile 2, then it should have no real issue against like Venom 3 because that's not even a horror movie. So yeah, so and I guess well, could this theoretically play out throughout Halloween and Christmas? Probably not. I don't think it'll last that long, but you know what? Stranger things have happened. So, but yeah, direct competition next weekend, that's a con. But dealing with Smile too. And yeah, so I think that's it. So opening weekend, the numbers I've seen is that this is gonna hit 15 million. It's gonna be number one this weekend, which would be a hell of a story considering this is even from like a big studio. So that and the fact that who would have expected a movie like this to be number one at the box office? Like if Joker 2 wasn't the disaster that it ended up being, it would still be number one. But here we are with another clown, taking out the clown prince of crime right here. How fitting. So yeah, this is expected to hit like 15 million plus. I wouldn't be surprised if it went higher, honestly. But I'm gonna say 50. I'm gonna say it's gonna hit 15 to 20 million. I'm gonna have like a range there, 15 to 20 million opening weekend, and its total. I don't know. Its legs. I'm not sure how it's gonna go. We'll see what happens in week 2. That will determine its fate. Um, I'm gonna say between like 30 and 40 million just to be safe. 30 to 40 million, which would be a big old improvement over Terrifier 2. That'd be like 3, 4 times as much. Like that's not normal for sequels to grow that much. But Terrifier is just one of those weird franchises that just grows exponentially with each entry. So yeah. But that's it for Terrifier 3. And that's it for the weekend. If it wasn't for Terrifier 3, this would be one of the most boring weekends ever, honestly. Terrifier 3 is the only reason people were even paying attention to the numbers. So next weekend we got two movies. There's Good Rich, which no one's gonna watch, and Smile 2, which theoretically should be a hit. I don't see it being a flop. But granted, I thought Joker 2 would be a hit, and it very much wasn't. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about any movie anymore. Any movie's commercial potential after what happened with Joker 2. But yeah, those are the two movies coming out next weekend. So stay tuned for those, in a week from now. But yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. You want to check out more videos like this, you know, on the channel. I have a playlist, all the the prediction videos I made this year and the past few years. You want to watch any of them, go right ahead. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. My September recap will be next week. October recap will be like whether it'll be either the first or second week of November. But yeah, October, man, that recap is gonna be. Ooh, I don't. Joker 2 really crippled the whole month. But talking about Terrifier 3's run is going to be real interesting, though. But yeah, stay tuned for those two videos. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I went over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. Never talked about Terrifier 3 ever, but made 200. Yeah, never talked about it once. I made 250 episodes of canceled. So you want to watch any of those videos, want to binge watch them all, go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.